As we grow older, there's a certain reality we all face, the possibility of losing loved ones, friends, and companions who have been by our side for so many years. It's a truth that for many of us is difficult to accept. The people we've spent so much of our lives with may not always be there in our later years. The children we raised may have moved far away, the friends we once shared laughter with may have passed on, and the partner we once leaned on may no longer be by our side. For those of us who find ourselves alone in our old age, it can be a daunting and lonely feeling. The absence of those familiar faces, the silence that replaces the conversations of yesteryear, can leave a person feeling like they've been forgotten by the world. It's easy to slip into despair and loneliness, to wonder how to continue when it feels like everyone who mattered has moved on or is no longer there. But this video is not about despair. This video is a message of hope, empowerment, and practical advice for those who find themselves walking the path of old age without the people they once had by their side. You might feel like you're facing this journey alone, but I want you to know you're not alone. There are ways to find peace, joy, and fulfillment even in your later years, no matter who is or isn't around you. In this video, we will explore what to do when there's no one left by your side. What can you do when you're feeling isolated, when it seems like the people who once made you feel alive are no longer there to lean on? We will talk about finding new purpose, embracing the moments you have left, and rediscovering joy, even if it seems like everyone else has moved on. There's a lot to be learned from those who have walked this path before us, and I'll share with you the steps you can take to reclaim your happiness and fulfillment in old age. Imagine for a moment, after all the years of raising children, working hard, and building a life with others, you find yourself at a point where the house feels empty, the phone doesn't ring as often, and the daily interactions you once had with friends and family are now few and far between. The people you've loved are no longer around to share the small everyday moments with. It's in these moments of solitude that loneliness can creep in. But loneliness doesn't have to define your later years. It can be a challenging adjustment, of course. Yet, as difficult as it is, the absence of others can also be a chance to turn inward, rediscover what makes you happy, and begin a new chapter of your life, one that is full of potential even if it's not the chapter you expected. And that's where the message of this video comes in. I want to share with you some important lessons that can help you navigate this stage of life with resilience and peace. So, let's take a deep breath together and realize that although the world around us may change, we still have the power to change our own perspective and our own actions. There's a lot of life left to live even in old age. While it's natural to grieve the absence of loved ones, there is also so much beauty and possibility left for you in the years to come. It's not the end, it's a new beginning, and it starts with understanding that you have more control over your happiness than you might think. I know it can feel overwhelming, especially when you're in a place of isolation, but as we explore the solutions in this video, I hope to inspire you to take the next step in finding your joy. Whether you're alone or surrounded by people, the key to living a fulfilling life lies in your attitude, your mindset, and your willingness to embrace new opportunities that are waiting for you. This video will walk you through specific steps you can take to navigate this phase of life, practical things you can do to lift yourself up, build new connections, and discover a sense of purpose. I want to show you that even in your later years, you have an incredible opportunity to live life on your terms with or without those who once stood by your side. By the end of this video, I hope you will feel more confident, more empowered, and more inspired to embrace your life and all that it still has to offer. As we move forward in this video, let's explore how you can rediscover your sense of purpose and reconnect with the things that bring you joy, even if you feel like you've been left behind. It's a difficult truth to face the reality of losing loved ones, friends, and companions in old age, but that doesn't mean your life is over or that the things that once made you happy are forever out of reach. In fact, there's a lot of life left to live, and there's still a great deal of joy to be experienced, no matter your circumstances. The key is to find new sources of fulfillment and purpose, and embrace the opportunities that come with your new chapter in life. One of the most significant challenges that people face in their later years is the feeling of being disconnected from others. It's easy to feel abandoned or forgotten, especially when friends and family members are no longer as present as they once were. But here's the truth: you still have the power to reconnect with yourself, with others, and with the world around you. The idea that you are left behind is simply a perception, and like all perceptions, it can be changed. Reconnecting with yourself. The first step in finding purpose and joy in your life is to reconnect with yourself. For many people, especially after retirement or the loss of loved ones, life can feel like it's on hold. We get caught up in thinking about the past or worrying about the future, which leaves us disconnected from the present. But the present is where all the beauty and possibility exists. It's where the joy of living is found. Start by taking the time to truly get to know yourself again. This might sound simple, but it's something many people neglect as they age. Over the years, we often put our own desires, dreams, and needs on hold in favor of caring for others, raising children, working hard, or taking care of responsibilities. But now, you have the freedom to explore who you are without the distractions of past obligations. Ask yourself, what do I enjoy? What makes me feel alive? What have I always wanted to do but never had the time for? You may discover that there are things you've always wanted to try but never did. Perhaps you've always wanted to learn an instrument, travel to new places, write, or start a new hobby. The great thing about life after 60 is that you have the time to pursue these things without the pressure of deadlines or obligations. Reconnecting with yourself involves giving yourself permission to explore your own passions and interests without guilt or fear. It's about finding out what excites you, what gives you energy, and what makes you feel connected to the world around you. Building new connections. While it's easy to feel disconnected when you're older, it's important to remember that you're never too old to build new relationships. The absence of loved ones can certainly create a void, but it also opens up space for new connections. You don't have to do this alone. Start by reaching out to others, whether it's reconnecting with old friends, joining a social group, or getting involved in a community activity. The world is full of opportunities to meet new people, and every new connection has the potential to bring joy, support, and companionship into your life. There are many ways to meet people, even in your 60s and beyond. You might consider joining a local club or group that aligns with your interests, such as a book club, a walking group, or a gardening class. Volunteering is also a great way to connect with others and give back to your community. Whether you choose to help at a local shelter, assist in a food bank, or offer your time to a cause that matters to you, volunteering can help create a sense of purpose and fulfillment while also allowing you to meet like-minded individuals. If physical activity is something that brings you joy, consider joining a fitness class designed for older adults. Many local communities offer yoga, tai chi, or even swimming lessons tailored to seniors. These classes not only help you stay healthy, but they also create a wonderful opportunity to meet new friends and connect with others who share similar interests. Don't underestimate the power of small social interactions either. A friendly chat with the neighbor, a call to an old friend, or even joining a digital community online can help you feel more connected to others. In a world that is becoming increasingly digital, it's easier than ever to stay connected with people from all over the world, even if they can't be physically close to you. Pursuing new passions and hobbies. A huge part of finding joy in later years is exploring new passions and hobbies. Just because you're in your 60s or beyond doesn't mean your best days are behind you. It's never too late to try something new, and in fact, starting something new can be incredibly rewarding. The pursuit of new passions can also help you find your purpose in this phase of life. Maybe you've always wanted to write, but never had the time or courage. Start by journaling your thoughts, memories, and dreams. Or perhaps there's a skill you've always admired, like painting or playing a musical instrument. Now is the perfect time to explore those interests. Sign up for a class or use online tutorials to learn at your own pace. You might surprise yourself with how much you enjoy these activities, and they could become an important part of your daily routine. Another great way to bring joy back into your life is by traveling, even if it's just to nearby places. Traveling can be a powerful tool for connecting with yourself and others, expanding your horizons and adding excitement to your life. Whether it's a short road trip or a longer adventure, the opportunity to explore new places and meet new people can breathe fresh air into your life. And if traveling alone feels daunting, consider going on group tours designed for seniors, where you can explore new places in a safe and supportive environment. Caring for your health and well-being. Your health and well-being should always be a top priority, and there are many ways to take care of your body and mind as you age. Physical activity is key to maintaining a healthy and vibrant life, and there are plenty of low-impact exercises that are gentle on the body, such as walking, swimming, or gentle yoga. Staying active not only helps with physical health, but it also has positive effects on mental health, helping to reduce stress and increase happiness. Along with physical health, mental well-being is just as important. Taking care of your emotional health involves doing things that make you happy, spending time with people who uplift you, and taking moments to relax and unwind. Practice mindfulness or meditation to calm your mind, or engage in activities that foster creativity and peace. Taking care of yourself is not a selfish act. It's essential for leading a fulfilling life, and it allows you to be the best version of yourself for those around you. Embracing the present and letting go of regrets. One of the most important things you can do in old age is to embrace the present moment. It's easy to get caught up in thoughts about the past, but the truth is that we can't change what has already happened. The past is gone and the future is unknown. What we have control over is the present. Letting go of past regrets can be one of the most freeing things you can do. Regret keeps you anchored in a past that no longer exists, and it prevents you from living fully in the now. By focusing on the present, you open up the space for peace and contentment. Take time each day to appreciate the simple moments, the beauty of nature, a good conversation, a cup of tea, or the quiet of the evening. These moments, though small, are what make life rich and meaningful. Finding peace in solitude. Finally, let's talk about the peace that can come with solitude. It's natural to crave companionship, but solitude does not have to mean loneliness. Learning to embrace your own company can be one of the most empowering experiences of your life. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It's about learning to enjoy your own presence, reflect on your thoughts, and find joy in the quiet moments. It's about turning inward and realizing that you are enough just as you are. Solitude can bring clarity and peace, helping you reconnect with yourself and your true desires. Her name is Margaret Hill, and she's 78 years old. She lives in a quiet corner of Vermont in the same house she and her husband bought over 50 years ago. The paint on the porch railings has faded, the garden beds aren't as vibrant as they used to be, and the swing where she once sat with her children now creaks under the weight of silence. Margaret's story is not extraordinary in the way headlines are, but it is deeply human. Her husband Robert passed away 6 years ago after a long illness. Her daughter Angela lives in California, raising her own children and juggling a busy life. Her son Mark was lost in a tragic car accident 10 years ago, a pain that never really left her. Friends she once knew well either moved into retirement communities, nursing homes, or passed on quietly. The phone calls became fewer. The invitations dwindled. Days grew longer. Nights grew quieter. At first, Margaret did what many do, she mourned. She wrapped herself in the familiar routines of grief, rereading old letters, keeping Robert's favorite mug in its usual place, watching the news with the TV turned too loud just to fill the silence. For a while, that was enough. But over time, the emptiness began to weigh heavier. It wasn't just the loss of people, it was the loss of purpose, the quiet erosion of identity that came with being left behind in a world that didn't seem to notice she was still here. One morning, as the Vermont winter began to loosen its grip and the snow melted into little rivers along the sidewalks, Margaret woke up and sat at her kitchen table with a single thought: I'm still alive. And if I'm still alive, there must be something left for me to do. It was a simple realization, but a powerful one. She started small. At first, it was a walk around the block just to feel the air on her face again, to notice the sound of her own steps. Then she began gardening again, planting herbs in old pots and trimming back the overgrown rose bush in the front yard. She cleaned out a drawer filled with old birthday cards and cried, but it felt like a release, not a wound. Then came a bold step. She walked into the town's community center. It wasn't easy. The first time, she simply sat in the back of a yoga class, watching others move with slow, deliberate grace. She didn't speak to anyone. She went home and made tea, wondering if it had been a mistake. But she went again and again, and slowly the unfamiliar faces became familiar. A woman named Grace who also lost her husband, a man named Charles who led a poetry group on Thursday mornings, a group of volunteers who cooked meals once a week for seniors who couldn't leave their homes. Margaret didn't say yes to everything right away, but the seeds had been planted. One Thursday morning, she walked past the room where the poetry group met. Charles waved at her. "You ever write anything?" he asked. Margaret shook her head. "Not since school." "Then it's time," he smiled. That afternoon, she sat down at her kitchen table with a spiral notebook and wrote about the garden, about her Robert, about the way the light spilled into the empty room when no one was looking. Her handwriting was shaky, her spelling a bit unsure, but the words poured out. Every Thursday after that, Margaret read aloud something she wrote. Her poems weren't always polished, but they were real, raw, beautiful in their honesty. She wrote about solitude, about aging, about forgiveness. One week, she wrote a piece called "The Empty Chair," about the ache of setting the table for one. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. The poetry group became her anchor. It gave her not only a reason to wake up early, but a place where her voice mattered. Her voice, a voice that for so long had been drowned out by silence, was now met with nods, laughter, sometimes tears. Then came another shift. Margaret decided to volunteer, not in a big, heroic way. She started delivering meals to shut-ins once a week. Her route included 3 homes: a woman named Rose, who had trouble with stairs, a veteran named Carl, who liked to talk about baseball, and a man named Elliot, who rarely spoke but always smiled when she arrived. With each delivery, Margaret felt herself growing. Not younger, not in the physical sense, but more whole. Every thank you, every brief conversation at the door stitched her back together in ways she hadn't realized were possible. But it wasn't just about others. Margaret began to rediscover what brought her joy. She dusted off her old piano, the one she hadn't touched in years. She played simple tunes. At first, her fingers clumsy but determined. The music brought memories, dancing in the kitchen with Robert lullabies she used to hum to her children. In time, those memories stopped feeling like daggers. They became warm like sunlight on skin. She joined an online forum for seniors and shared her writings there. One post titled, "Learning to Be Alone Without Feeling Lonely," gained hundreds of comments. People from all over the country wrote to her: widows, retirees, veterans, even younger people who feared growing old. Margaret became a quiet beacon, a voice of strength, not because she had all the answers, but because she was honest about the questions. At 78, Margaret didn't reinvent herself. She didn't climb a mountain or start a business, But she did something far more remarkable. She chose to live fully with what she had. She turned solitude into reflection, loss into purpose, and quiet into song. When asked by Grace one afternoon what had changed her most, Margaret said softly, "I stopped waiting for someone to come fill the silence. I decided to meet myself there." Her story is a gentle reminder that no matter how much time has passed or how many loved ones are gone, the chapter you're in is still yours to write. You may not be able to bring back what was lost, but you can still grow something new, something beautiful, even in the soil of sorrow. And perhaps that is the true lesson of aging, not just to survive loss, but to create meaning in its wake, not to erase the pain, but to allow it to become part of the mosaic of your life, woven into the joy, the laughter, and the quiet triumphs of each new day. Margaret still lives in that same Vermont house. The porch swing has been fixed, the roses bloom again, and every Thursday, if you walk past the community center, you'll hear her voice, gentle, steady reading aloud to a room of people who understand. Her story is one of resilience, not written in grand gestures, but in the daily choice to keep going, to keep giving, and to keep finding beauty, even in the aftermath of goodbye. When you heard Margaret's story, maybe, just maybe, you saw a part of yourself reflected in her quiet strength. Maybe you too live in a quiet home where laughter once echoed through the halls. Maybe you found yourself awake in the stillness of night, feeling the kind of silence that presses against your chest. Maybe you've wondered if life still holds something meaningful for you. But like Margaret, did you too can begin again, not in a rush, not with grand declarations, but with a gentle nod to yourself in the mirror, a whisper that says, "I'm still here, and as long as I'm here, there is still life to live." If part one was about acknowledging the loneliness, and part two invited you to step into healing, and part three offered the real life story of someone who found hope again, then this final part is for you. It's a soft yet powerful reminder you have not been left behind. You are simply standing at the doorway of a new chapter. Old age is not the end of meaningful living. In fact, it can be the beginning of a different kind of life, a slower, deeper, and more honest version of who you truly are. If you've spent your earlier years living for others, this is your time to live for yourself gently, without guilt, and with full permission to savor every quiet, precious moment. Start by listening to yourself again. Perhaps you've tucked away your feelings so as not to burden anyone. Maybe you've learned to smile through the sadness, to keep your worries to yourself. But now you have the right to be honest with others and with yourself. Say out loud, "I feel lonely today. I miss someone I can't bring back. I still have things I want to do." These are not signs of weakness. They are signs that your heart is still open, that you are still seeking light. From that honesty comes possibility. Ask yourself, what used to make me smile? What dream have I quietly carried for years? Is there something I've always wanted to learn or express? These questions are not trivial. They are doorways, and when you begin to answer them, even softly, you begin to reawaken parts of yourself you thought were gone. Just like Margaret, you can find joy again in sharing, even if it's just a journal entry, a phone call to a friend, or joining a small group of people who, like you, are simply looking to feel seen again. Your voice still matters, your story still matters, and you don't have to do something dramatic to find meaning again. Make a cup of tea in the afternoon, smile at the cashier at the grocery store, wave at a neighbor during your morning walk. These tiny acts, done with mindfulness, become sacred rituals of connection. They say to the world, "I am still here, and I still have something to give." If the world seems too fast, slow down. You don't need to keep up with anyone. You don't need to prove anything. At this stage of life, slowness is a gift. You have the time to sit with the morning light, to feel the breeze, to notice the sound of rain, and to appreciate each breath you take. What a blessing it is to live with awareness. And when you feel lost, think of Margaret. She once thought her life had shrunk into silence, but then with a simple step attending a poetry class, writing a few lines, delivering meals to others, she found herself again, not by changing who she was, but by showing up gently for her own life. You can do the same. Whether you're in Texas or New York or a quiet town in Iowa, someone out there would be touched just to hear your thoughts, read your words, or see your smile on an ordinary day. And if there's one thing I hope you remember from everything we've shared today, it's this: you still hold value. Aging does not diminish your importance. It deepens your wisdom. You are not less needed. You are just less noisy. But within you lies a richness of experience, compassion, and insight that the world desperately needs. Share it. Write a letter to your grandchild. Tell your story to someone younger. Leave behind not just things, but truths, memories, and wisdom. Live these years with intention, not regret. It's okay to remember those who are no longer with you. It's okay to cry for what's been lost. But let your grief become movement. Live the life they can no longer live. Laugh for the things they loved. Continue the journey with the love they left behind. You are not just living for yourself. You are living for all those who can no longer walk beside you. And they would be proud to see you still going, still trying, still loving, still believing in the goodness of life. So, if you've made it to the end of this video, take a moment to wrap your arms around yourself and whisper, "I'm doing okay. I still have time, and I will use it well." Today, you can make one small choice that changes everything. Call someone you've been missing. Write a page in your journal. Sit on the porch and watch the sunset. Or simply place your hand on your heart and say, "I'm alive," and that's enough for today. If this video has touched your heart, consider sharing it. Someone else out there may be struggling in silence, wondering if they still matter. Let them know they do, just like you do. Growing older isn't something to fear when you learn to love this season with a wise, open heart. You are not alone. We're here walking this path beside you, writing the final chapters of our lives, not in sorrow, but in peace, with beauty, with courage, and with the quiet strength that comes from having lived fully. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the upcoming exciting videos.